Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back into another edition of Keytime Sports. Please like, comment, share, subscribe to Keytime Sports right here on YouTube, Key City Sports on Instagram, and the key on millions.co. And we also have some new things that are happening on millions.co. Obviously, here is my profile so that you will know it is me. Here is my media feed. Here is my merchandise, and the wait is no more. We also have a new logo for my merchandise. And here is the logo. I'm going to have everybody take a good look at it because when you go to purchase, either if it's a shirt, shorts, joggers, or whatever you purchase on my millions.co page, this is the logo that you are going to see. I know it looks nice. I know it looks nice. So we are going to be rolling out new merchandise at the end of this month. We are going to start on that at the end of this week when it comes to rolling out new merchandise. So this is the new logo, and the old logo is thrown in the trash. And this is the rebrand that I have been talking about, America. So let's not waste any more of anybody's time, and let's get to the topic at hand last night. It was a historical night in the NBA last night, but first, I got to get to the Toronto Raptors and the Houston Rockets and get into what happened in H-Town last night. So, Houston Rockets won their 40th game of the season last night, 113-99 over the Toronto Raptors. Here is the Toronto Raptors with their starters, Brandon Ingram, 9 points in 36 minutes. Sandro Macarelli-Shalavi, 8 points in 30 minutes. RJ Barrett, 25 points in 32 minutes. Scotty Barnes, 24 points in 36 minutes. Emmanuel Quickly, 12 points in 33 minutes. Bench production, Jamison Battle for the Toronto Raptors. Jamison Battle, 3 points in 9 minutes. Jonathan Magabo, 2 points in 11 minutes. Garrett Temple, 0 points in 3 minutes. Jamal Sheed, 2 points in 19 minutes. Jacoby Walter, 6 points in 21 minutes. Elijah Martin, 2 points in 3 minutes. Grady Dick, 6 points in 8 minutes. For the Houston Rockets, Kevin Durant, 29 points in 33 minutes. Jabari Smith, 23 points in 35 minutes. Tarion Eason, 8 points in 31 minutes. Alfred Sengun, 14 points in 30 minutes. Amen Thompson, 23 points in 39 minutes. Bench production, Jeff Green, 0 points in 3 minutes. Dorian Finney-Smith, 3 points in 21 minutes. Isaiah Crawford, 0 points in 3 minutes. Clint Capella, 4 points in 13 minutes. Aaron Holiday, 2 points in 3 minutes. Josh Okogie, 0 points in 6 minutes. Reed Shepard, 7 points in 24 minutes. Now, here's one thing that I want to talk about when it comes to free throws and three-point efficiency. Both of these teams, the Houston Rockets, they had a good night. They were 10 of 24 from the three-point line, 42%. Toronto Raptors, they were 9 of 36, 25%. Free throw disparity from the free throw line, 22 of 28 for the Toronto Raptors. Houston Rockets, 21 of 27 from the free throw line for 78%. Offensive rebounds, +9 for Houston. Defensive rebounds, +14 for Houston. So Houston, they out-rebounded the Raptors offensively and defensively. Assists, they were deadlocked at 21. Turnovers, Houston had 18 turnovers, but yet they still won. They got away with some of them. Points in the paint, 50 to 36 in favor of Houston. Largest lead of the game for the Raptors was 4 points. Largest lead of the game for the Rockets was 20 points. Now, I just want to say something when it comes to the Toronto Raptors. We all know that the Toronto Raptors are right there in the 5th spot, along with Miami, who is at 6. And Miami, one of the players on Miami had a historical night, but I'm going to talk about that later on in the show. But right now, I'm going to talk about the Toronto Raptors. Toronto Raptors, I'm going to tell y'all something. First of all, third youngest team in the NBA at 26, at age 26. The two teams that are younger than them are the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Detroit Pistons. Okay, now we got that out the way. When we get to their bench production for the Raptors, I don't know if the Raptors bench production is going to be able to hold up. That's if they play the Cleveland Cavaliers or the New York Knicks, because the New York Knicks bench production, dare I say it, they do have their flaws, but they have a little bit more efficiency when it comes to their bench production than the Raptors do. Cleveland Cavaliers, same exact thing. Now, the Toronto Raptors, they are a diamond in the rough. You don't really know what the Raptors are going to do, but you're just surprised that they are in this situation this early. Everybody, and I do mean everybody, including me, was predicting the Toronto Raptors not to get very far this season. I didn't even put the Toronto Raptors in the top 5 of the Eastern Conference, but yet they sit in the top 5 slot in the Eastern Conference with just 17 games left on their schedule, 17 or 18 games left on their schedule. Now for the Rockets, third team in the West. They are third in the West. They are deadlocked with the Lakers right now. And the Lakers, they had a big time win last night. So the Rockets, they could pretty much be 4th going into the weekend. See, this is why I say everything is starting to fluctuate in the NBA on a night-to-night basis. Now, when we get back to the statistics, what pretty much hurt the Toronto Raptors last night was, like I always say, America, if you've been watching this show long enough, you already know when I talk about basketball, it's about defensive rebounding, turnovers, and missed free throws. That can always hurt you. And that is what hurt the Raptors. Now, one thing about the Rockets, third place in the West. If the playoffs were to start today, let me go back to the standings. If the playoffs were to start today, the Rockets would be facing the Denver Nuggets. Now, we all know that the Denver Nuggets, they have lost their grip on their positioning in the playoffs. With a few more losses, the Denver Nuggets, they could be a play-in team. And we didn't expect that at the start of this season. But they call it the Wild, Wild West for a reason. Now, the East, everything is pretty much, it's just stability in the East. But you don't know who is going to come out of the West. And here is a few clips from last night's game with the Rockets and the Raptors. Now, this game was pretty close late into the 4th quarter, but then all of a sudden, Houston, they turned it on at the right time, as you can see right here, with a fast break defensive dunk, and they were up by 11 with under 8 minutes left in the 4th quarter. You see a turnover right there. Oh, look at right up. Paint points. 2 of their 50 paint points last night came from Tarion Eason. Here is the Raptors. Brandon Ingram, he had a bad night. R.J. Barrett for 3. That was 3 of his 35 points. But the Raptors, I just don't know. If whoever they play in the first round, if they don't come out and play with the type of intensity that we all know that the Raptors have and what we've saw, the Raptors, they'll be out of the first round. And as you can see, when it comes to the Houston Rockets and Kevin Durant, he's been doing this for almost 20 years. He gets to his spot, pick and pop, makes the shot, and then it's like night and day. It's like it's routine for him. It's routine for him. The next game I am going to cover is the Boston Celtics and the San Antonio Spurs. I know everybody was watching this game. Everybody who is an NBA spectator, who is an NBA fan, and who is a journalist watched this game last night, and I was able to see all of it. And let me tell you all something. I would not be surprised if this is the NBA Finals, the Boston Celtics and the San Antonio Spurs. I'm going to get to what the Celtics did. Jason Tatum, I'm going to tell y'all something. Jason Tatum, he has came back and he has been very efficient. Now, he was 4 of 14 from the three-point line last night. He was very ineffective from three, but he had 24 points in 27 minutes. Sam Hauser, 11 points in 34 minutes. Namis Quetta, 5 points in 19 minutes. Derek White, 34 points in 40 minutes. Jaylen Brown, 8 points in 15 minutes. Bench production, Amari Williams, 1 minute, 0 points. Luke Garza, 3 points, 24 minutes. Ron Harper Jr., 33 minutes, 22 points. Baylor Sherman, 6 points, 35 minutes. Jordan Walsh, 1 minute, 1 point. Max Shagula, 1 minute, 0 points. Hugo Gonzalez, 10 minutes, 2 points. San Antonio Spurs, and I'm just going to say something. The San Antonio Spurs right now, they are still at the number 2 spot in the West. And they are just 2.5 games back of Oklahoma City. Now, could they catch Oklahoma City? OKC and the Spurs still have 2 games left on the schedule for the regular season. And I know those are going to be 2 big games that are going to determine the outcome of the Western Conference Finals. The difference of having home court in a Game 7 or going on the road in a Game 7. That is what the Thunder and the Spurs are focused on. Everybody else in the West, they are obviously looking at both of those two teams and saying to themselves, okay, where do we may have to play in the Western Conference? That's if the Thunder or the Spurs get all the way to the Western Conference Finals. So, back to what I was saying when it comes to the Boston Celtics and the San Antonio Spurs. Now, the San Antonio Spurs and Boston Celtics are in the same exact situation. They are the second best team in their respective conferences. And some can even say that over the past 5-6 weeks, the Celtics and the Spurs are the 2 best teams in the NBA. But one thing I'm going to go by the standings. And like I've been telling you all, that Boston is the best team in the East. It doesn't even matter what Detroit does right now because they don't have enough efficient scores to beat Boston in a 7-game series. And with the San Antonio Spurs, they can beat Oklahoma. The Spurs beat Oklahoma in the regular season. Let's see if the Spurs can beat the Thunder in the playoffs in a 7-game series on OKC's home floor. That is if it happens like that. Because there are so many scenarios that can happen. You know that you could have an injury here, you could have a missed shot here, somebody on the team, whether it's the Spurs or the Thunder, could have a bad shooting night, could have a bad series shooting. So you never know. Anything can happen when it comes to these playoff scenarios. So now, once we get to the efficiency for both of these teams last night, I knew that this game wasn't going to be a blowout. Even when the Spurs were up by, 12, 13, I was saying that this game is going to be much closer than everybody is predicting, and it was. See, anytime I see a game that where a team loses by 9 or less points, that's a very close game to me. It is. It's a very close game. So, largest lead of this game for the Spurs was 13, like I said a few seconds ago. Largest lead for the Celtics was 7. Now, when it comes to 3 pointers, the Spurs made one more 3-pointer than the Celtics did. And also, when it comes to turnovers, the Celtics had less turnovers, but they still lost in terms of rebounds, offensively and defensively. And that is exactly what hindered them last night. Now, with 7 minutes left in the game, the Spurs, they were down by 6. Now they were down by 4. Right here, they could have got it down to 2. Well, they did. They got it down to 1. And then all of a sudden, Victor Wembanyama, nobody can stop Victor Wembanyama. Unless you wear Victor Wembanyama out coming down the floor, it's going to be a tough night trying to stop that locomotive and that guy from Star Trek, because everybody says that he's pretty much, he's an alien. He's 7'6", and nobody, and I do mean nobody, can block his shot at all. Nobody. And as you can see, what I'm talking about right there, you see Victor Wembanyama, he missed that shot. But the Spurs, they went back down, hit a 3-point shot, brought it back down to 8 with under 2 minutes left. But it was pretty much all she wrote after that. It was, because the Celtics, they couldn't get any stops. They couldn't get any stops, and that is what hurt them in the long run with this game. Here is De'Aaron Fox. He gets a lucky bounce and puts the lead back up to 10. And that's where the finishing touches were. And that is where you see the final score as 125 to 116. And as we can see, the Spurs and the Celtics are number 2 respectfully in their conferences, and both of those teams have 18 games remaining on their regular season schedules. The playoffs will start on April 23rd. The play-in tournament will start on April 17th. And with that, there's one last thing that I want to talk about. We had a historic night in the NBA last night. We had, from the Miami Heat, Bam Adebayo. He scored 83 points last night. And like the source says on ESPN, don't debate its merits, because here is the message. It's a complicated time to follow the NBA when even the league's most spectacular moments can come with a built-in argument attached. Miami Heat star Bam Adebayo's historic 83-point night against the Washington Wizards on Tuesday presented fans with a choice that forces aside celebrated or audit. There was no question what was happening in Miami. The Heat franchise, which is part old guard and part paramilitary operation, was firmly on the side of celebration. Heat coach Eric Spoelstra, who has developed a reputation of coming off as a robotic because of his relentless focus and analytical approach, smiled and laughed as he watched Adebayo chase 70 points and then break the legendary, God rest this man's soul, Kobe Bean Bryant modern day scoring record of 81 points set 20 years ago back in January. Now we get to the point of where this guy sits on the all-time scoring list when it comes to most points in one NBA game. There's Wilt Chamberlain with 100. There's Kobe Bryant. Well, excuse me. There's Wilt Chamberlain with 100. There's Bam Adebayo with 83. And then there's Kobe Bryant. So I didn't. So this is what this source goes on to state. I didn't dare even think about taking him out, said Spoelstra. Who's the team ahead by? The team was ahead by 16 going into the fourth quarter and won 150 to 129. Once he got to 40, I didn't go anywhere near him. Who knew I would be superstitious? After Adebayo scored 31 in the first quarter and 43 in the first half, Spoelstra instructed his players to see if they could get their team captain as many points as possible. They did everything possible to feature him and help him. Over the next few days, Adebayo's story will be told to a wider audience across the planet. He's a 3-time All-Star and a 2-time gold medalist and a max salary player. The 28-year-old is not a breakout star, though, but that could change. The people will hear about Adebayo's story of growing up in a single wide trailer in Royal, North Carolina, overcoming adversity to reach the NBA, that he has been overlooked because he isn't a scorer first player. And his defensive prowess does not come with impressive stats. Given this entire experience is karmatic field. People will hear Adebayo's sound bites and growing up worshiping Bryant and lamenting that they never got to meet. That was my idol growing up, he said. I watched how he approached the game with that laser focus, Adebayo told ESPN's Scott Van Pelt after the game. I wondered what he would say to me at this point. He'd probably tell me to do it again. Adebayo's peers across the league made their feelings known last night, from Jalen Brunson to LeBron James to Dwayne Wade, and the legion of them paid their respects on social media. And those who were in front of the microphones also made it very clear on which side of the line they came down. I couldn't believe it when I was hearing it in real time, said Houston Rockets star Kevin Durant, who was aware of Adebayo's night even as he was scoring 29 points against the Raptors. I looked at the stat sheet and it was pretty crazy. He had 40 shots, 40 free throws, 23. That takes a lot of stamina, man. Huge accomplishment. It will be something we will talk about forever. Giannis, who scored 64 points in a Milwaukee Bucks game 2 seasons ago, took 32 free throws. He had no issue with Adebayo getting 83 points, 16 of which came in the fourth quarter when the Heat were forcing him the ball and the Wizards were throwing defenders at him. And I'm just going to tell you all, I'm going to get down to the bottom of this article because it's a pretty long article. Even as Adebayo put up each point, a wing of fans instantly discredited it because of the opponent. Now, here's one thing that I want to talk about. You cannot discredit history. And I want to tell somebody whoever said, this is what gets me. When they start talking about sports, see, you can't give all of these jokers microphones because they don't know what the hell they talking about. I heard somebody say that Miami is not a preferred destination. Can you believe can you believe such idiotic and when it comes to idiotic and all of this other stuff? Whoever said that Miami is not a desired destination for sports, you don't know what the hell you're talking about when it comes to the type of location when it comes to Miami. We all know that I don't even have to gloat about Miami. I don't have to gloat about Miami. The prestige that Miami has, where it has the beaches, it has the Miami Dolphins, it has the Miami Heat, it has the Miami Marlins. You can even go down. You can even go down Biscayne Boulevard, and you can see where the Miami Heat play. So for any and everybody that said that Miami is not a preferred destination, you're sadly mistaken. But Bam Adebayo, he is going to have a contract. He is going to have a new contract after this. He is. So for the Miami Heat in this situation, I believe going into, free agency within a few months, this is the type of game that will help players come to Miami, because Miami, they haven't lost their fastball when it comes to recruiting players and getting players to play in Miami. Hell, me, I would go play for the Miami Heat, and I don't live very far from Miami. I don't. So, all in all, it was a historical night for Bam Adebayo and the Miami Heat organization as a whole. And one last thing that I want to say is, please remember, with that, those are my reactions to Tuesday night in the NBA. Please like, comment, share, subscribe to Keytime Sports right here on YouTube, Key City Sports on Instagram, and the keyonmillions.co. Here is my merchandise, and here is the new logo. We doing a rebrand. Here's the new logo, everybody. I'm gonna have y'all take about 15 seconds just to look at this new logo. Keys on the roll. We got the background. We got the keys in the background, the keychain, the steering wheel, and also we are going to be doing a lot of big things around this logo for our shirts, for the shirts. Now, one thing I would like to say is, here is my media feed. Here is my media feed. Here is my merchandise. I just showed you that. And here is my profile picture so that you will know it's me. And remember, everybody, one last thing. Remember, the key is always on time.